Sonic Universe Issue 5. We start out 30 years later in another dimension where a newscaster is looking back on the 5 years of peace. She wastes our time recapping the King Shadow stuff, although she does give us the new information that it was Shadow who rescued the world from Eggman, only to conquer it with a peaceful but brutal regime. So did Sonic go back in time and let Shadow beat Eggman? Is that what he did to keep the world from ending? But I don't see how that would fix everything. He still zone hopped just as much up to that point. Did he kidnap his younger self before he could do that zone hopping? That would doom everything. The newscaster explains that Sally had brought about some ease in the strict rule and harsh punishments of King Shadow, and she even gave food to the oppressed people looking sweet. Finally, we see King Sonic and Sally with their 5-year-old kids Sonia and Manic back. Sonic says that public speaking gets him nervous, which is weird since you'd think he'd be confident enough to just go on and on forever in front of a crowd, no problem. Sally says that since they're doing speaking tomorrow, it's a good thing that they're taking the night off to relax, and she reveals that Lara Sue is going to be the babysitter, which the kids are really happy about. I see they haven't really done anything to differentiate Sonia and Manic's designs from Sonic and Sally, despite bringing them back, but younger. In fact, making them look like Sonia and Manic would have been better, even if it would have been kind of confusing. After Sally and Sonic go off to go dining and then go to a show, we see Lara Sue failing to get the kids to bed hours later because they're running around too fast for her. Fortunately, she remembers she has magical powers as she uses chaos control on them and carries them in green bubbles to their beds. She leaves the room without keeping the green bubbles around them for some reason, and talks to her parents, with Knuckles saying that the peace talks haven't been going great because at least Shadow could keep the warmongers in line. He hopes that Vector and his little brother will get the Missouri Separatists to rethink things. Who? It took me way too long to remember that Missouri was actually the Africa Sonic Unleashed. It makes perfect sense. Africa's had plenty of separatist movements of its own in real life. After it's referenced that Lara Sue might see the Prowers on a regular basis here, Sonia and Manic run out of the rooms, and finally something interesting and not mundane happens, as Lara Sue is spied on by one of the Dark Eyes. Why did they change the Dark Legion's name to Dark Presence? Leonda explains why she's not engaging the enemy, saying with some decency for once that she won't risk the children if she can help it because they're innocents, and she only thinks Lara Sue is guilty enough to deserve it. She plots against Lara Sue and her and Sonia's parents, and then reveals that not only is her motivation power hunger, but she's also got a grudge from being kept away from her own son. To be fair, her son never looked happy with her anyways. The next morning, Lara Sue meets up with Tails, Mina, and the kids in a crowd, with Tails' kid Sky being characterized as too nervous to speak. Maybe he's bullied at school for having two tails, or is insecure about them even if he isn't. I bet they'll never bother explaining that. Lara Sue says that she's actually pretty nervous because this is her first big assignment without the Chaotix to back her up. Lara Sue glides around, and after Sonic and Sally show up to talk to the crowd, Sonic feels the need to thank the crowd for being accepting of him and Sally's rule, even though there's no reason they shouldn't be. Lara Sue kicks away a sniper's rifle as King Sonic, oblivious, for some reason says that it's really thanks to the people that peace has happened. How does that make any sense? They didn't do anything. I'm supposed to believe that it's because Sonic's being humble, Sonic of all people, but it'd make more sense if Sonic was just lying to make a nice speech. Hero or not, I picture Sonic to be arrogant first and foremost, and I can't imagine that would make him a humble king. After a fight, Lara Sue realizes there's no rocket in a rifle thing, implying that the sniper was just a decoy to distract her. And at first I thought Lara Sue had stopped the missiles from hitting Sonic and Sally. I mean, why not? Why is she assuming that she's too late when she should have been able to use chaos control on them just like she did with Sonia and Manic? But instead, the missiles were stopped by Silver the Hedgehog, who showed up out of nowhere once again to save his future. This issue was by Ian Flynn, and tried to balance out the mundanity of Lara Sue babysitting Sonic's kids with an evil plot for power by Leonda, who they made at least a little less evil here as she wants her son back and she says Sonic's kids are innocent. But wait, her attempt at killing King Sonic would have killed his kids as well. So that doesn't make any sense. First she doesn't want to risk their lives, and now all of a sudden she's fine with it? They should have not had this in the issue at all. It's just confusing. Also, Sonic has super speed, and so do his kids. Why didn't they run away from the missile? Nothing really came of Tails, Mina, and his kids so far. They're just there. I like that Sky is all shy and nervous. It makes him pretty endearing. Sonic, hero or not, is shown as weirdly humble as a king, giving the people credit they don't deserve. And it's hard for me to swallow that coming from someone so arrogant. I can imagine Sally being a great queen, to understate it, but Sonic isn't meant to be a king. And for some reason it's Silver who shows up out of nowhere to save the day when it could have just as easily been Lara. It's the beginning of an arc, so I guess things will pick up later.